think, you know, when I worked with Michael Jackson, he had a conversation with Zach and with Corbin and with Vanessa and a lot of the young kids, and to remind them to hold on to their childhood. And I think now more than ever, and even back then when we were doing High School Musical, it was important that their parents understood that this sort of level of celebrity was suddenly going to sort of move into their home, and that the films invited this, and that it was really, really important not to let these young people forget the realities of who they are and their life, and not to you know, to lose hold of something that is sacred, which is to just be a kid, you know. And I know that now, you know, young kids that are working in film, they actually have clubs through the Screen Actors Guild, where because sometimes kids are working on a movie and they're the only kid, and everybody else is a grown-up, and then they have a teacher and a welfare worker, and there's no other child. Maybe it's just only one in a series or in a movie. So they now have these clubs where kids can now go and just be with each other. And there's only one rule: not to talk about show business. And I think that's important, balance. It's difficult. It's very, very, very difficult. You know, one day you can be the star of Annie, and the next day you've grown too tall and you're done. And so there can be tremendous postpartum, tremendous depression, anxiety, loss and so it's important while young people are working to never let them lose sight of their life. And it's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up, because it is important. And I think there are more people now, you know, doing better jobs at that, in protecting young people that suddenly find themselves, you know, moving into celebrity at such a young age. I was lucky because I learned by working with other directors that I enjoyed, directors that I didn't enjoy. You know, working with actors as an actor that were generous and actors that were not generous. And so after, you know, many years of working as first an actor and then a choreographer and then eventually a director and producer, that I was able to create my own sort of way of accomplishing the work. And what was really, really important to me, and I took from the best of all of my experiences working with Francis Ford Coppola, being a student of Gene Kelly, working with Michael Jackson, who said, don't let fear into the room. So I created a kind of method, an approach that's still evolving and growing, to ensure that everyone felt safe and unjudged, and that they have a voice, and that they're a partner, a participant, and that everyone that I would bring in on as a creative participant, it was very important for them to understand that I work this way, and that everybody's going to have a voice, everyone is a partner, and that nobody has the right to take that away. And it has enabled me, I think, to accomplish great things in very little time with little money, because it's enjoyable. People can't wait to get to the set in the morning, and they don't want to leave. And it's not a trick, it's just common sense. Create a space where people feel fairly treated, where they feel safe, where they can express themselves, where they can experiment, where they can try things and not worry about failing, because you're not going to hold it against them. And I think High School Musical was just filled with that. It was ebullient with that. And so that these kids just felt so trustworthy. They were so comfortable, and they were ready to do anything, everything that I could possibly request. I couldn't be ambitious enough. And I think it was because of the surroundings that we created to produce the show in. Well, if we wait a little bit, no, we don't even have to wait any bit longer. It could be the children. Troy Bolton's, you know, daughter who plays basketball, you know, and Gabriella, you know, Gabriella's, Troy Bolton and Gabriella's daughter who is a basketball star. I think that we could, you know, Ryan, who's a brilliant choreographer and whose son perhaps is an archaeologist. I don't know. I just think that it's amazing that they've become so alive. These characters so live in the imaginations of all of us that made these films, and that now that love these films, that, you know, who knows what chapter you could do next. Disney, Gary Marsh, the president and CEO of the Disney Channel, I did High School Musical 1, 2, and 3 with, and Cheetah Girls 2, called me up and said, I have a special script and I haven't shown anybody, and I hope you like it and you want to direct it. And he said, it's about the children of the Disney heritage characters. And I was like, whoa. And I read it, and I was maybe 10 pages in, and I said, this is incredible. And so I finished, and I called him the next morning right away. And I said, yes, I'm so interested. I want to do this. And then after I got the job, I started to realize the incredible responsibility that I had, that I was now engaging with the children of these like beloved characters. You know, their parents are these beloved Disney, you know, characters, and that I had a responsibility, you know, to make sure that these young voices, you know, and how we developed them and created them and how we cast them, you know, put them in that special place that their parents were in for so many of us, you know, growing up and falling in love with those movies, you know, with Maleficent and with Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella and you name it. So in the beginning I was excited, and then I was like, but I'm just so grateful that it turned out as successfully as it has, and that the audience has embraced these characters, and they're very much alive now and a part of the Disney family. It was devastating. It was unbelievable. It was unfathomable. You know, I was in Hawaii with my family when Cameron's father called me, and I just remember my sister was helping me because everything went black, and it was like somebody pulled the plug out of my life. And I just so loved this young man and so believed in this young man and was so in awe of who he was as a young person, and already what he was able to accomplish, not only as a performer, but as a thinker, as a humanitarian. And his father and mother and sister have done an incredible job of creating the Cameron Boyce Foundation, you know, which, you know, concentrates on a cure for epilepsy, but also many other, you know, needed things. And even here, 2 years in a row, there are young people that have collected money for the foundation in Cameron's name. I thank you for asking the question, because whenever I can, I love speaking about him and his extraordinary talent and, you know, heart. And he was like our muse. You know, when Cameron arrived, it was like somebody turned the lights brighter in the room. The light got brighter in the room. The energy lifted in the room. There was something in him that just elevated the experience for everyone in his company. I still feel his presence. I still feel his spirit. And I still think of him a lot. Really disappointed. I mean, I think not only was I really disappointed, but so many people were disappointed. You know, I mean, we received a lot of accolades, and it was, I was under the impression that this was the first project with me at Netflix, and that this was, to begin to build a department, to begin to build a strong kids and family and young adult, platform. And I just felt that they so quickly walked away from it, and it was like, that there have been other shows that didn't always come out of the gate so fast, but because people at the high places believed in them and saw the promise in them and recognized the impact that they could have, they stay with them and they nurture them and they don't quit them. And suddenly you have something that just explodes and everyone is now aware of. And I thought we had that. And our fans believed we had that, and were very, very vocal about their disappointment that they weren't being recognized, and that they were and they believed that Julie and the Phantoms belonged to them and that they should have a voice in it being able to continue. They put billboards up all over the world. Billboards all over the world. They just made a book of it. It's unbelievable. It's like 100 billboards that they put up with their own money to say, we want Julie and the Phantoms. We won the Golden Apple for Golden Tomato for Rotten Tomatoes, the MTV Movie Award. We won, Emmy Awards. We won. It didn't matter, how much we were appreciated and how much devotion there was out there all over the planet. For some reason, Netflix just, decided I wish they would give it to me. I wish they would just give it to me and allow me to take it somewhere else and to be able to give it a life again. But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And no hate. No hate. I'm not trying to protect myself, but I'm not a man of hate. But disappointed that I think that it was not a very enlightened choice to make. But then it's a business, and the business is based on immediate numbers and not the potential for growth. And if you look at the work that I've been a part of and the legacies that the years that, Hocus Pocus 29 years, Dirty Dancing 35 years, High School Musical 20 years, you would have thought that there would have been a little bit more patience. Give it a chance. But it's okay, we move on. These kids are going to have incredible lives and careers. It's already happening. They're all working. I just think that the energy is just different. When we came here last year, we were announcing the end of Julie and the Phantoms. Now, we were also here with Descendants and also here with High School Musical, but that was a very difficult thing because I was grateful to Netflix. They let me make the announcement. They didn't make the announcement. And so I didn't even tell the cast. And I wanted to get everybody here and get us all together with all the fans that made, that love the show. And I felt that it was more responsible to share the news in a place where we could be together and that we could spend 2 days together. I felt was very healing and very helpful, and that we had each other to be able to sort of move forward with the disappointment, that we weren't going to be moving forward. And this year is different. This year, I think there's still disappointment that we haven't moved on, but I think that there's a new energy. And we're just celebrating what we are, and this is not going to go away. Julie and the Phantoms is not going to go away. It's not going to go away, and unless they took it off the streaming platform, people will continue to find it, and it will have a life like all of these other projects that I've been so fortunate to be a part of, and I think that that's what we celebrate now. It's forever.